couple months ago, I posted a video where I picked 3 whips that I was almost done with but not quite finished with and decided to just get them all done in a week. I really like that, so I'm going to be doing that again. This week I have 5 whips, and because I don't hate myself, I'm also not going to be mad if I can't get this all done in a week, because that would be ridiculous for me to get mad at myself for that. I really enjoyed making the last video because it's difficult for me to summon up motivation to finish some projects sometimes after I've lost the excitement of them, and putting it into a sort of a challenge made it exciting again. And so I don't think this kind of thing is for everybody, but it's for me. It works, and I enjoy it, or at least I did, so hopefully I'll enjoy it again this time. So here's the deal. 5 projects. I'm going to briefly introduce them, and then one by one I'm going to start knocking them out over the course of the next week, and you're going to follow along as I do it and hopefully be a little bit of a cheerleader for me so that I can maintain motivation and excitement to actually do these things. I should introduce the projects now. A hat for my husband, which should look something like this hat when it's done. A pair of socks for my husband that I promised I would get done over 8 months ago. A crochet market bag that is taking a lot longer than I expected. A sweater that, spoiler alert, I don't intend to keep, and I'll talk more about that later. A vest that I said on the internet that I would finish, only to realize later I have no desire to actually finish it. I think I will start with this one, and here's the story. I made the sibling sweater by Laura Penrose in merino wool and absolutely loved it, enough to the point where a week later I casted on this beauty. The same sweater, but in a cotton material that I'm trying to use up because I own way too much of it, due to a lack of impulse control, only to block it and find out that I absolutely hate the material. The sweater I'm currently wearing is made with the same material, only this one turned out so much better. While it's not technically my most exciting sweater, it is the most comfortable one that I own. And it is made with the same cotton material. When I went to block this sweater, and admittedly it is a looser gauge, so some of this is to be expected, but when I went to block this sweater, the yarn bloomed so perfectly and it became drapey and soft and everything I wanted and more. And after wearing this sweater basically every day for 2 months straight, I ordered a bunch more of it when there was a sale. Like a lot. A year and a half ago. And I'm still trying to use it up, and I've only made it halfway through the stash of just this cotton yarn. And this project was one of the second to last attempts because every other attempt at using this yarn since this sweater has come out stiff. I've tried different gauges, I've tried doing this gauge again, I've tried repeating the same exact project, but for some reason this yarn was amazing when I bought it and no longer is. And the origin story of why doesn't really matter that much. The resultant conclusion I have come to is I don't want to wear this. I blocked this partway through. It's meant to be a sweater, meant to have sleeves. And after blocking it, it became so stiff. I felt like I was wearing cardboard and paper. I'm not gonna want to wear this, and I knew that as soon as I put it on. And no amount of fabric softener or soaking it in vinegar or beating it with rocks is gonna help soften it up to the point of me wanting to like it. And there were already issues with this sweater beyond just the stiffness of the material. The construction didn't turn out great. I tried blocking this back shoulder detail, and there's so much wrinkling here, no matter how much I blocked, and I just need a more relaxed wool in order to get this back shoulder increase to look good. So there's just enough wrong with this sweater where I don't want to wear it. And I told my husband that, and I said I was going to unravel it. And he was like, oh my gosh, please do not unravel that. And he said that I should just bind off the collar and donate this thing as a unit. So that's what I'm gonna do, because I had no good reason not to. I'm not gonna be using this yellow yarn for anything else. So it's disappointing and devastating to work on something and be very excited about it only to have it not turn out. But also there's something really freeing about giving myself permission to not like it. I've also come to the decision that I am going to donate the remainder of this cotton yarn in my stash, with the exception of the white, because I use the white yarn to crochet like bags and household goods and stuff, and it's really good for that, just not good to wear. And I know myself, and I'm not going to use these colors in my home. So anyways, the rest of it is going to be donated. An unfortunate side story along with that is in my last Floor Talks video, I mentioned that I was going to use some of the colored version of this yarn to make a really loose knit cabled sweater. And I put up some examples and asked people to put in an opinion of what color yarn I should use and what pattern I should go with. And because I'm me, this is what happened. I had a sweater's quantity of this exact yarn in gray, blue, and red. I grabbed 2 balls of each of those colors to use as a visual example in my Floor Talks video. Immediately following that video, I lost those balls of yarn. I cannot find them. And without those 2 balls for each color, I no longer have a sweater's quantity for any of those colors, which means I can't make any of those sweaters. However, I should say I can't make any of those sweaters with that yarn. I fully intend to make those sweaters just with a different yarn. And I think that's a better plan because I'm really in love with those sweater patterns and I want to use a better yarn that I know I'm going to like and appreciate. So it's sad because I had to admit to myself that I messed up and it was irresponsible of me to be purchasing that amount of yarn, regardless of if I thought I was going to use it or not. Knowing myself, I no longer want to buy quantities of yarn that I can't realistically use in like a 2 or 3 month time period, because that practice just doesn't align with my values and it's just not a good option for me. So it's an uncomfortable lesson to learn, but it's one that I'm thankful I'm figuring out before it got too far. Freeing myself of all that cotton yarn that I don't want to work with and donating it to someone that would actually use it. Right now I'm thinking of calling an elementary school and or a senior center or like a memory care facility and seeing if they would be interested in it. And hopefully they'll like appreciate and love working with it more than I would. So I don't feel bad about getting rid of it. And another benefit is that my stash is decreasing down to the point where I could comfortably fit all of the yarn I own in like a kitchen trash bag, which is nice because at one point I think I could fill 4 kitchen trash bags. And I appreciate that I have pared my stash down to a much more reasonable amount. That is the amount that I am way more comfortable with. So enough of that tangent. My plans for this, it should be pretty quick. Although thinking about it, it might take like an hour. I'm gonna put the collar of this sweater back onto my needles and then do an Italian bind off, which is a sewn bind off technique. And it's already blocked and I wove in all the ends already. I'm glad that I was weaving in ends as I went. And then once I finish binding off, I'll be completely done with this. And that will be really nice. That'll be freeing. And then I'll donate it. I have a bunch of clothes that I'm planning on donating, so I'll just probably throw this in with that bundle of clothing. I could reasonably do this today. I'm gonna do this today. What TV show should I watch while I do this? I'm kind of going through a detective phase right now and rewatching like really nostalgic detective TV shows that I was watching when I was a kid. So I'm debating between Monk, Psych, and Murder, She Wrote. Oh my gosh! There's this YouTube channel that I like called Pushing Up Roses, and on occasion they'll release a video where they talk about like a specific episode of Murder, She Wrote, and they're always so funny, especially as someone that like really loves the show. And so I think I'm gonna watch her latest video because she just released one on an episode of Murder, She Wrote. That'll be fun, and then maybe I'll watch like that episode of Murder, She Wrote afterwards. That's fun. How many times can I say Murder, She Wrote in this video? Am I even allowed to say that word on YouTube? Am I gonna get in trouble? Whatever. All right, I gotta do this before I get distracted by anything else.
I saw you singing in a photograph, but I never learned your name. Then it wasn't long I fell in love and hoped you'd feel the same. So you told me, come on over and we'll sing a sweet refrain.
You know, it just seems right with this sweater. There had to be just one more thing. Frickin' high maintenance sweater. This is what I get for getting too comfortable with Italian bind-offs, because when I first started doing them, I would use an insane amount of yarn because I was so worried that I wouldn't have enough, and it would suck to weave it in because I'd go to like sew a part and then I have to like pull 18 feet of yarn past for the bind-off. And I've overcorrected. Okay, she's done. I don't have to think about this one anymore. One down, 4 to go. Of course, I started with the easiest ones, so the other ones are gonna take a little bit more time. Oh my gosh, I forgot to weave in one of the ends. Why? Is that what you wanted when you clicked on this video today? Is just hearing a 26-year-old woman whine like a baby? Now it's done and I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to work with this yarn anymore. Yay. Except for one of the projects that I'm working on, but that's different. It's a Crochet Market bag, much better pairing for this yarn. It's not meant for garments. I also love how much I'm trash talking this yarn despite actively wearing a sweater made out of it, but whatever. Oh my gosh, I've been crossing my legs for too long. Also, I thought that was gonna take me an hour and it only took me 26 minutes. So, feeling pretty good about that. I don't have time tonight, I don't think, to work on any of the other ones. So I think I'm just gonna pick up tomorrow and see which one I'm feeling the most. Good morning, I'm barely awake, and today is the day that I unravel the vest. This is meant to be the swirl vest from Tom Daly's book. And while I love the pattern is so cute. I messed up by 1, not following the pattern and doing my own thing, and 2, not using the same colors that he used in his. Here, I should probably find it. Okay, I love the colors that are used in the sample, but I was like, is it uncreative to just copy what they did? Which is kind of a ridiculous thought now that I'm thinking of it. Like, if I like it exactly the way he did it, then I should just use the same colors that were used in the sample. I'm not trying to pass this off as my own original concept. So like, what am I trying to do? Anyways, I think in the future, if I like the colors of something, and that's my main reason for really liking a pattern, then I should just use those colors. I do like these colors, just not for this. So I will use these for something else, but I need to unravel this whole mess and I'm not looking forward to it. I have no idea how long this is gonna take. I'm hoping this won't take longer than an hour, but I don't know. Especially because this is Drops Melody yarn and it's so grabby. It's like unraveling mohair. It's just more difficult than unraveling like other materials. So, you know, we'll see. I think I should just start. I don't even know where to start. Okay, just pick a point and go with it. Oh, this is gonna get so tangled. Is this worth saving? Yes, I can make something scrappy out of this. I want to do a Larke Bagger pattern, and all of her patterns just require an insane amount of scrap yarn. So I think that's what I'll use a lot of this stuff for, because it's not, I don't know what I was trying to say there. Do you ever just keep going in a sentence and then add the word and you're like, great, now I have to come up with something else to make this sentence make sense because I decided to use the word and. Okay, I'm starting to think that this may take longer than an hour. What is this attached to? Okay. You know, I should just start with a deep breath. It's fine. You know, it's fine. I think I should sit on the floor and do this, and so I can like spread everything out and not have things like fall all over the place. That's the plan. I'm gonna move to the floor. So I think I should just start by trying to ball up or wind up this mess and then focus on unraveling. This is already looking a little bit more manageable. I have been avoiding unraveling this because, one, it's hard. It's hard to admit, like, I'm not gonna work on this. It needs to be unraveled, but also it's like a little overwhelming to think of unraveling this thing. I feel like this first bit is going to be a lot more difficult because there's a lot of color switching happening, and then I'm gonna more so enjoy the second half, but you know, we'll see, because I might be so over this by the second half. I'm still hoping it's gonna take less than an hour. I don't want this to take my entire afternoon. That would be great. Okay, now I'm wondering if it would be easier to go section by section instead of row by row. I'm probably gonna change my mind about 17 more times as I do this. It also bears repeating, if you're sad that I'm unraveling this, that this does not fit me. This is way too small. I thought I could make it work, but it would take a lot of finessing to have made this work. Okay. Oh gosh, this part's gonna be confusing. I didn't even think of this. It's easy enough to distinguish unraveling when it's two different colors, but if I'm unraveling and I have two different strands of the same color, that's gonna get complicated. It's really satisfying to finish one. Okay. Okay. That corner's frustrating me, so I'm gonna do a different corner. Okay, we're gonna take a deep breath. Where's the end? I see a bunch of loops. I see no ends. Ugh. Okay. I'm finding this blue corner very upsetting, and I'm gonna start breaking yarn. Okay, it's so like felted into itself on the ends that it just snaps every time I get to an end. I'm so over this. I'm really over it. The really frustrating thing at this point is how often it's snapping itself. Because then it's like, what's the point? Why am I unraveling this if it's just gonna break every foot? You know what? We're just gonna brute force this. Pippin, I don't wanna, can you unravel it for me? No, come back. Pippin. Is it just me, or do these colors look kind of like 80s to me? They're giving 80s vibes, but I don't know. Could someone who was alive in the 80s let me know in the comments if you think, like, do these feel 80s? Like, even if it was just a kid, like a little kid's outfit or a little kid's sweater. I don't know what I'm talking about. I can see the finish line. We're getting there. Things are happening. Okay, the twisted ribnit bit is too felted to itself to really unravel, so I'm just gonna take the L on that one. And this is all the stuff that I couldn't really recover, and it's just lengths that are too short to like do anything with, really. So I don't know, I might come up with something for this, or like make a dryer ball out of it. I don't know, what do people do with this kind of stuff? I might come up with something to do with this. I'll probably just put it with my stuffing collection. So sometimes I make pillows or ottomans and stuff, and I just like having stuffing, so I think that's what I use this for. And these are all the bits that I was able to successfully recover, and these will become something eventually. On to the next project. I'm calling this one done.
Alright, which you cat wants to come snuggles with me while I do this?
Look out, world, I'm on the third project of the video. Time to work on a hat because it's actually been like 5 days since the last clip when I unraveled that vest. I have been in such a knitting slump. And I don't know if you can even call it a slump, if it's just been like a week. But I haven't actively knit on anything in over a week because I just really haven't been feeling it. And I had a lot of hand and wrist pain because I was just going way too hard for a while. So I needed a little break, but now my hands feel better. And I think I'm ready to get back into something that's just simple stockinette stitch. The only complicated bit for this is going to be the next part. I should actually introduce this project a little bit more. This is the hat that I'm making for my husband. It is going to have a triple folded brim. I'm using leftover yarn from my Friendsgiving sweater, which is this what I'm calling the sweater I made in my recreating Rachel Green's sweater from Friends video. Because this is non-superwash merino wool, very warm, very soft, and my husband really liked the feel of it. And brown is like such a good neutral for his wardrobe. So this is the hat. Now, I personally like really wide brim hats, but he does not like quite as dramatically wide brim hats. So his is gonna be, you know, I should get the project that I'm referencing. Okay, so this is the hat that I'm making just in this color, which is a pretty vanilla hat pattern. It's not really even a pattern. YouTubers that I watch are constantly apologizing. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you can hear my kids in the background. And I've been catching myself doing that. And I don't think I should be, because life exists and this is not a professional, like, studio quality movie that you're gonna be seeing in a movie theater. You're watching this for free unless you pay for YouTube Premium. And I'm personally not that bothered by like background noises in other videos. I mean, I guess it does depend on the background noise, but some people, they have like kids or toddlers and you'll just kind of hear them in the background. And I really don't think that the creators should have to apologize for the fact that they live in a house with kids that make sounds, and I live in a house with cats that make sounds, and I am unwilling to lock them in a room while I'm making my videos, just so you don't have to hear Mary aggressively digging to the bottom of the litter box. I don't know what she's digging for even, because she doesn't bury her poop when she goes to the bathroom. She has zero survival instincts. So she's just digging around to see what's in there. So the next step would be for me to attach the bottom part of what I've worked up here with the next row. And like I said, I will show you how I do that in case you haven't done it before, but I'm sure most of you watching have seen this. I actually don't know the level of experience, because the thing I struggle with these videos is how much to explain, because I feel like it's a pretty even mixture between people who like might crochet a lot but have never knit before or are just starting knitting, and then people who are like experts and have been doing it for longer than I've been alive. So I'm just gonna explain things that feel right to explain in the moment and go from there, and if people have questions I can address them. Like, I didn't explain how I cast on. I used the backwards loop method, and on one of my videos someone asked, hey, can you show how you do your backwards loop method? Because it looks a little different than what I've seen before. And mine is a little different. Most of the time people use their thumb to pick up the stitches, and I use my 2 fingers here to pick up stitches. So just made a quick little short to explain that. So if there's ever anything that's confusing to you, feel free to ask questions in the comments. And if you're watching this like, I already knew it and I don't need to know that, and it's super annoying that you explained it, then maybe my videos aren't for you. But there's also a lot of like crafting YouTubers that I see that will explain things that I've already heard a million times, and I need to close that room. Oh, it smells bad. Have I been talking for too long already? Yes, I have. Okay, let's knit these together. While I do this, I'm gonna explain as best I can how I do this, and you're gonna see why I don't post like tutorials, because I am terrible at verbally explaining what I'm doing with knitting. I am not a good knitting teacher. Anyone who has learned to knit from me or crochet from me, I'm sorry. I know I'm actively like not a good teacher. It's not a skill set of mine. I'm gonna do my best. Hello, baby girl. Step 1, say hi to your cat. I thought my cat was gonna throw up for a second, and I wasn't sure if I'd rather have her throw up on the couch, on my knit hat, or like in my hand. What's easier to clean? My hand, probably. I would have been surprised. She's only thrown up like once in her years of life. Okay, so for the next step, what I'm going to do is attach this bottom part to this top part. And I do that by, first off, you want to track where this next stitch, like track it all the way down and find where it begins on the edge, the cast on edge. For me, I already know it's the beginning of the round, which makes it a lot easier to locate. And then I just fold it inward. So I have my cast on end right here, which you can see just makes this whole thing a lot easier. And then I don't know if this is the correct way to do it, but it is a way, and it technically works, at least for me. So I'll pick up the stitch, and it doesn't really matter where you're picking it up as long as it's consistent. So this would be, for me, the first stitch. This would be the second stitch, third stitch. So I'm just gonna pick up the first stitch here. And then grab my working yarn, and I just knit the 2 stitches together. So this, here, let me separate them so you can see it a little bit better. So this is the stitch that was on my needle already, and then this is the one that I just picked up. So I'm gonna knit both of these together. Whoop, I did it, look at that. And then I go in over here and locate my next stitch, which is honestly just the hardest part, is being able to identify what is the next stitch. And then I knit those together, and then I just keep doing that. It's kind of tedious, but it does create a really nice clean join. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue doing this all the way around, and I will check in with you when I am done with that for the next fun step. Say hi to Pippin. Hi, Pippin. Look at that face, look at that face, the little void.
Tonight on Murder, She Wrote. What really bothers me is that women don't usually shoot themselves. Oh my God.
Okay, so I'm almost done attaching the brim all the way around, and you can kind of see it better now, where this is the part that I have left to attach and the rest is completely attached. And at this point, I don't have any ends to weave in. Okay, so the next step for me is to finish attaching the cast on edge to the working row, and then I'm gonna do like 3 rows of knit stitch, and then I'm gonna do something weird that's gonna be very controversial, and I'll check in with you at that point. I'm currently on a comfort show kick, so right now, I'm like actually right now watching Murder, She Wrote. And if you haven't heard of it, it is just a cozy detective show from the 80s with Angela Lansbury playing the main character, Jessica Fletcher, who is a murder mystery novelist, and she just happens upon murders in every single episode, and it's hilarious how they continue to explain it for like hundreds of episodes. How is this woman stumbling upon murders when she's not a detective? Because in most other shows like Psych and Monk and NCIS and whatever, they work in the police department or for a police department or some sort of investigative body in that make sense as to why they're stumbling upon all these cases, but that's not the case with her. She's not a private investigator. So every episode, they just have the most wild explanations as to why she's there. And it's hilarious, but absolute comfort watch. And then I'm rewatching Buffy the Vampire Slayer right now with my husband, but we only watch like half an episode each night, and I want to binge watch it. So I might just binge watch it without him.
What are you saying? Somebody killed him?
A common theme in this show is sexism and ageism, and Jessica is frequently coming up with theories and ideas and pointing out clues, and the male characters, usually the police investigator, will turn around and repeat what she said as if they came up with the information, and it's just absolutely hilarious, the looks that she gives these guys, which is just, I can't even try to emulate it. All right, I have finished attaching it, so I'm just gonna do a couple rows of knit stitch, stockinette stitch in the round.
Women. Present company excluded men.
Thanks, Phyllis. It seems I'm always leaving things on chance.
How's that feel? Did I get a nerve?
The door.
David Fletcher?
Oh, George, how...
All right, I have done 4 rounds of stockinette stitch in the round, and this is the weird part of the hat. So basically, let me show you where I'm at. So this is the hat I'm working on. I've attached up to here, on this one, I think I did like 3 rounds maybe of stockinette stitch, and then switched to purl stitching so that when you turn it inside out, it folds up nicely and just looks like knit stitch all the way around, like this. But I don't feel like purling forever, although I don't mind doing purl stitches. I would just rather do knit stitches, or at least that's what I'm feeling right now. So I'm gonna do something that's gonna be so widely controversial. There are gonna be opinions on this, but here's what I do. Okay, so first off, I am going to switch out my interchangeable needle tips, because right now I'm using 2 different sizes, a 3.25 on my left needle and a 3.5 on my right needle, and I'm going to switch that so that my 3.5 is on my left needle and 3.25 is on the right needle. Normally I would be working in the round like this, but instead I am going to flip it over and start working essentially backwards. So the stitch that I just knit, I'm going to slide it over to my right needle without knitting it, and then I'm just gonna start doing knit stitches. And this is wild and not the correct way to be doing it, but my husband's not gonna know. No one's gonna notice. It's a part of the hat that is hidden and won't be seen by anybody. And this is just the easier way to do it. Sometimes cutting corners isn't that bad. These are the kinds of corners in knitting that I'm willing to cut. So now I'm working knit stitches, and I've turned this inside out from what I've been working before, so that when I finish this up and go to fold the brim over, you'll see when I do more of this. You'll see when I do more of this. I'll explain it later. So now I'm gonna work about 5 inches in stockinette stitch in the round, just doing knit stitches all the way. And that should take me like a couple days. I don't know what my knitting motivation is gonna look like over this weekend, but we'll see.
But this magazine is such, especially the article about cisterns.
Okay. So last night I ended up doing more knitting than I thought I would. Like, this isn't a lot of knitting, but you know, it's better. I thought I was just gonna get like an inch done because my knitting mojo has not been there. So this was like nice that I like got this much done. And I'm over halfway done with the hat, which is pretty nice. So for reference, this is the hat that I am basically copying, and this is the new one, obviously, that I'm working on. Oh my gosh. I'm so eloquent. So basically I got to the point last night where it was time. Okay, so basically I got to the point last night where it was time to start doing decreases to shape the crown. And I do decreases the same on every hat because I feel like it just fits my head the best, and my husband also likes this construction type. So what I do for this is so basic. I just put 4 stitch markers evenly around my work and just have one that's a different color to make sure that I know what the beginning of the round is. And then when I get to a stitch marker, I'll knit 2 together, slip the stitch marker, and then slip, slip, knit the next 2 stitches together, and keep going, and do that every other round. And I'll usually do that the whole way, but sometimes when I get to like the last, I don't know, 20 stitches on the needle, then I'll start decreasing every round so that it has more of a dome shape instead of like decreasing like this. It like rounds it off at the top a little bit more. So I'll probably do that for this, but who knows. I'm just glad that I actually made like real progress and I could realistically finish this today. Oh, you know what I should also show you right now while it's easy is just like how that construction worked up. For anyone that's confused of how this works, it's just folding the brim over at this point, and now it's a hat that you can wear. Boom. Do I look pretty? I bet I do. So, yeah. The easiest hat that I know how to make, stockinette stitch all the way around. All you have to do is flip it halfway through. Okay, and then the other thing to note is when I did the purl bumps here, it was actually doing stockinette stitch on the other side. So when I went to attach the brim and then I did 4 rows of knitting, I did that so that when I go to fold over the brim, then I just have some extra knit stitches here so that like when you look at it folded over, you can see the knitting instead of it switching straight to purl bumps like right at the end, because I just like the look of it appearing to be entirely knit. And I could have done more of that, but in this case 4 rows was enough to make it work, and it didn't really matter that much. And if anyone wants to knit a hat like this, I am using Drops Daisy yarn, and I would say it's kind of like a light DK weight, and I'm using 3.5mm needles in the round, and I cast on 108 stitches. And if I was doing this for myself, I would have just cast on 100 stitches, but my husband's head is a little bit bigger. I'm gonna take a break. I am about halfway done with the crown right now, and I'll show you my lovely decreases. Look at how pretty they are. They are so pretty. So pretty. So pretty, pretty, pretty. It's early. Leave me alone. Alright, I should like check to make sure this is hat shaped. Also, I'm curious. I feel like I'm going to have to add another ball of yarn, like just as I'm finishing that, which angers me. So it's not yarn chicken because I have more yarn, but also it's really annoying to have to add another ball of yarn, like right at the end. It's just annoying. And it's more ends to weave in because right now I have 0 ends to weave in. And so it would be really nice if I just had to weave in 1 for this entire project. That would be really cool, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So it's kind of impossible to see the mess that is the top of this hat just with the way that it's in my needles. But basically in between each stitch marker, I have 3 stitches, and that's not enough to decrease. So that's when I know it is time to bind everything off. And instead of like binding things off, I'm just going to cut my yarn and then thread it through all of them, pull it tight, weave in the end. The really good news that I am excited about is I didn't run out of yarn, so I only have 1 end to weave in, which is like a fun little gift to myself. And it only took 25 minutes for me to finish the hat from when I thought it was going to take me like half an hour to an hour. So that's pretty good. It's currently 10 a.m. and I'm feeling really productive this morning. What's always fun for me in the editing process is seeing all of the silly freaking faces I make all the time. But most of what I see when I'm editing and it's me working on something, the face I make every single time is, and it's just this face. for the entire video. And I would feel self-conscious about that, but I know that most people make that face. We like to think we look cute while we knit. We don't. Maybe you do. Lucky you. I don't look cute while I knit. Oh, look at that, people. You can't because I haven't shown you. Look at the tip. Look at that hat. Look at that crown. Isn't that perfect? Is that not perfection? It's perfection to me. Ah, so good. Just gonna weave in my end and then I'm done with the hat once I block it. Done with the hat once I block it. And if you're curious of how I weave in my ends, I do a little squiggly. So I go down, loop up, down further, loop up, down. And that is typically my end weaving. Why? I can't tell you. I don't know. It just feels right to me. Should we try on the hat? Oh, this is going to be the perfect size for him, I think. I hope, because it's too big for me. I like really simple knitting patterns where the end result is something that's just very clean and polished. Makes me happy. Makes me happy. I do feel bad though sometimes when I do very simple projects like this because it's like, well, I do have the capacity to do more complicated stuff and I feel like it's not very impressive. But I'm like, who am I trying to impress? Now we get to talk about the next project. Okay, the next project is this crochet market bag that I'm working on and I'm just kind of improvising as I go. So I started by chaining 100 stitches and then I did single crochet up one row and then went around to the other side, single crocheted the other, and then started doing triple crochets. So after I did those single crochets, I did one round of just normal triple crochets or treble crochet if you're in the UK, I think. And then after that, normally you go into the next round, you go into the top of the next one. It's so hard to verbally explain, so I'll just show you what I did. So what I do is wrap the yarn twice like I would for a normal triple crochet. And then normally you would go into the top here, but instead I go around the pillar that I've created or the column or whatever you want to call it and do my triple crochet into that. And that's the entire thing. That's about as complicated as it gets. And I know for a fact that other people do this and I don't know what it's called. So if there is a name for this, please say something in the comments. I would really appreciate that. It takes longer than normal triple crochet would do because you're not going into the top of the stitch, you're going into like the middle of it. But it just creates a really interesting texture. And then the inside of the bag is also really fascinating to me, the texture on the inside. So if I were to turn this inside out, I like the idea of having this bag be potentially reversible once I weave in my ends and make them look pretty. Because then you have this really interesting like horizontal line situation going on the inside. And the reason I'm doing this technique is because it creates a really thick, cushiony fabric. And I want to use this as a bag for my work laptop. And when I go into the office at work, my backpack isn't big enough for my laptop and I wanted to make a little bag. And it's the kind of job where I don't need to have a full-on backpack because when I'm going into the office, all I'm bringing is my laptop and my water. The questions that I have not answered for myself yet on this is, I don't know how long I want to make it and I don't know what I want to do for the strap, like what technique I want to do. So I think I'll do 2 straps and not just like one long one, doing 2 straps to give it that market bag over the shoulder kind of thing. I'm having a bit of a conundrum with crochet. So I want to crochet more, but here's the thing. I don't need a lot of crochet stuff in my life. Like I don't have a purpose for it anymore. Like I don't need more coasters because I already have some. And I don't need more bags after this because I have plenty. And I don't want to just have baskets upon baskets full of crochet bags because I just felt like making them. And so I was like, okay, easy solution. I do like the process of making stuff and I do want to keep making stuff, but I don't want to have to keep it and store it. So I'm like, great, I'll just give it away and make stuff for other people. But I also don't want to take like requests and make things for other people that they want. I just want to make whatever I want and give it to people. And so I don't know. That seems like a weird thing to do. Is that weird? Just to be like, I want to make whatever I want and then maybe post it on my personal Instagram and be like, yo, people in my life, if anybody wants this, let me know. You just have to pay for shipping. What do we think about that? Because I would like to also make more crochet coasters and maybe make some different ones and give the ones I currently have away because they're in like great condition. I just don't need that many coasters in my life. Who does? The only difference is garments because I am looking forward to making my first crochet garment soon. I have the yarn for it and I'm gonna start on it I think next week, and I'm very much so looking forward to that. But garments I don't mind because I have a very minimal wardrobe. All of my clothes could fit in a single suitcase, like a big suitcase piece of luggage, but all of my clothes could fit in there. And so I don't mind having a lot of like handmade knit and crochet pieces in my closet, especially because I'm to the point now where I can go back and be like, okay, these are the ones I don't wear anymore. I'll give those away. And it makes room for me to make new ones. And yeah. Also, what do we think about that? So I have a couple sweaters that I don't wear, and I don't wear them because I don't love the yarn or the color. So it's not like I could unravel it and make a new version. And then the ones I'm also thinking of would be like impossible to unravel because one of them is boucle, and I'm not about to unravel blocked boucle. Blocked boucle. Blocked boucle. Blocked boucle. Okay, yeah, I am not about to unravel blocked boucle. That is really difficult to say. So I'm wondering, is it weird for me to be like, hey, friends and family, these are sweaters that I'm getting rid of. If anybody wants one, let me know. I don't know. I feel weird about doing that, but I don't know why I feel weird about doing that. Should I not feel weird about that? Should I just like let people decide, and if no one wants one, then I can just donate them and that's fine? I'm overthinking it. Look at me. Anxiety brain, can you tell? Okay, that's enough of that. I did like half a row. I'll come back to that. 5.5 more rows to go. Oh. It's dark out, which means the quality is not going to be as great, but that's okay. A lot of YouTubers are like, I can't film because it's dark outside. I'm going to film even though it's dark outside because even though I mention in every video, it bears repeating, I work a full-time job just like you, which means I only have nights and weekends to film. So this is where we're at. And okay, so I put my laptop in my bag, which I should grab right now to show you. I'll be right back. Ooh. All right, this is my work laptop. It's a big boy. Okay, so I put my laptop in this earlier and I was like, okay, this is basically the length that I need it as, especially because this is cotton, so this is gonna grow lengthwise over time, especially if it holds like a heavier object. So I think I need to start doing my single crochet rows now and then doing the strap instead of continuing to do triple crochets all the way around. So I think I'm gonna do that sooner rather than later, but I still haven't decided how I want to do the straps. Like, do I want to do a single strap that goes across the whole thing so I can wear it crossbody? Do I want to do a strap in the middle so I can hold it with my arm around like this? Or do I want to do a strap like a grocery bag? I haven't decided, and I am overthinking it, and I think I should just do whatever I feel like doing in the moment. And I think, to me, what feels right is doing around and doing like 2 inches strap to, this isn't 2 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches strap, 3 inches, 3 inches strap, 3 inches, and then going around and continuing to do that. And if I hate it, I can just undo it and that's fine. It's not that much effort and work to redo that. Especially since I'm not feeling like doing a bunch of new bags with crochet. Like I want this one to be decent. So I'm willing to undo it if it's not perfect. But also I love seeing this like heavy object in crochet, just so I can see that like these vertical lines, they look really good when it's weighed down. You don't have to agree. It's my style. That's fine if it's not yours, but it's mine. So I'm liking this. So I think maybe tomorrow I'll pick this up and try to finish off with a couple rounds of single crochet and then doing the strap and seeing, hopefully I can finish that tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. Y'all, it is Sunday afternoon. The sun is either just about to set or just finished setting. I was not paying attention because I was distracted. I'm sorry, but I finished the market bag without you. It just happened so fast. I thought I was gonna make the straps nice and thick, and then did the thinner straps and just really liked it. And I was worried that the thin straps would be impractical, but then I put my laptop inside the bag and kind of walked around with it for a while, and the thin straps work great and they're cute and I really like it. Okay, so what I did was 3 rounds of single crochet. I was about to say stockinette stitch. This is crochet. This is how you know I don't crochet often enough. And I actually sized down because the whole time I had been using a 4.5 millimeter hook and then I switched to a 3.5 millimeter hook. Also, naturally, I always use the millimeter measurements because for my work, when I'm creating engineering drawings, that's all done in millimeters, and so I'm just used to that format. So I did that, and then at the beginning of the round, I crocheted like 18 stitches, single crochet, and then cast it on 80, single crocheted 16 more stitches, cast it on 80, and then just did a round of single crochet going over like the middle parts and over the straps, and that was it, and wove in my last end. And it's perfect, and the sizing is perfect, and I do know the straps are going to grow because this is cotton, and if it's holding a lot of weight, it's going to stretch a lot over time. I have planned for that, so we're all good. And I'm also totally chill with adding to this. That's the nice thing about crochet, is it's so easy to like go back and add to this. So if someday I'm like, hey, you know what, I want these to be slightly thicker straps, then I just grab some of this cotton yarn, which I have a million balls of, and add a couple more rounds. I'm so happy with how the texture came out. It's so pretty and it feels very organic to me, which I really appreciate. I'm really happy with this, and it fits the laptop perfectly. I also appreciate that I don't have to like finesse it into the bag. It's not such a tight fit that that's the case. So yeah. This is the bag. How very exciting, huh? What do you think, Pip? And even holding this up, the laptop is not nearly as heavy as I thought it was. I'm happy with this one. This was a good project. And it was good to have a crochet project going on with all of my other projects, because then I could switch up what I'm doing, which I think helped with any sort of like arm, wrist, elbow, finger pain, because it's slightly different movements between doing crochet and knitting, and you're using slightly different muscles. I also liked this project because it was such a good mindless whip. Everything was just in the round, doing the same thing over and over again the entire time. So when I didn't want to have to think about anything, this was the project to pick up. And I feel like crochet is also a lot more forgiving than knitting in some ways, depending on what you're doing. But the type of crochet I do and the type of knitting I do, crochet is definitely more forgiving. So yeah, here's my market bag. This used a ton of yarn, which is good because I have a lot of this yarn, and I was able to eat up some of the stash. Always a good thing. So now it's on to the next project. Can you believe it? I am finally on the last project. All kinds of tangled up in here. This is the last project. It is finishing up a pair of socks that I've been working on for my husband for a while, and they've been on the needles for so long. I promised my husband I would have them done by the end of Thanksgiving, and I did not. It's fully February, so it's time to finish this up. I am officially on the heel portion because this is a heel flap and gusset sock, and anytime I'm working on socks and I get to a stopping point where I have to do something else that's pretty much the heel or the toe, I just lose all motivation because it takes like some amount of mental effort, even though it's not that hard to figure out how many heel stitches I need to be doing. It's not that hard. I should just do it. But I'm tired. I was up at 3 in the morning today for no good reason. And I just want to sleep. So I'm gonna put this back in the bag, and tomorrow I will do the whole heel because I can do an entire heel in a day. That's so easy. Honestly, if I was really applying myself, I could probably finish this whole thing in 2 days, but we'll see. Okay, here's the deal. So I started this video of finishing my whips 2 weeks ago. I said at the beginning I was aiming for 1 week. That didn't happen, and that's fine. But it's been 3 days since I last checked in with you. 4 days maybe? 4 days since I last checked in with you. And this is the progress I've made on the sock. So before I hadn't started the heel, I don't believe. And now I have finished the heel and I'm onto the main foot of the sock. I have zero motivation to work on this. In the past 4 days, I have cast on and finished knitting the yoke of a sweater. I made a massive scrunchie. I did a crochet project that took a long time. I've done a lot in the time that I should have been working on this. And that to me is a sign. And I've been feeling guilty. I've been feeling really guilty about the fact that I haven't been working on this. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna not feel guilty. I mean, I might, but I'm gonna try not to. And I'm gonna set this aside. I will finish this when I finish it. My husband already has hand knit socks in his arsenal, so he's not in like desperate need of these. These will get finished when they get finished. I have no motivation. I don't feel like working on this. I'm just gonna set this aside, and that's okay. I don't need to feel bad about that, because you know what? This is my hobby. This is what I do for fun, to relax. Why would I do it on anybody else's terms other than my own? Like, could you imagine? And for clarity, my husband in no way is like pressuring me to finish these socks. I think he's forgotten about them. And I can't imagine other hobbies catering to other people like this. Like, for example, quite a few people in my life are gamers. Could you imagine if I was dictating what video games they should and should not be playing at any given moment? And saying, you should be doing that one and not this one? Or you should be playing this video game for me. Like, all this progress you're making on that video game should be for me. That's not how other people's hobbies work. And so I'm just gonna set this aside. But this is gonna go back in the project bag, and this project bag is gonna go back in the project basket. Oh my gosh, I made it in the project basket. I will show you. I will show you without cutting. Oh my gosh, look at how good I am at throwing things. Ha! Okay, let's put you back. Where were ya? That seems about right. I'm always jumping really weird onto my couch, by the way, because we have a massive ottoman right in front of it. I don't know if you can see that, but we've got this big boy like right in front of the couch. And so you kind of have to like jump into the middle spot if you want to sit here. So that was 2 weeks with me. This video is like an hour long. And I gotta say, I really like this format of like finishing my whips in a video, or not finishing them in some cases. How do I say goodbye or summarize this video without saying the same thing that everyone else says, which is, thank you for watching, I will see you next week. But that can be it. I don't need to do a whole like 2-minute long spiel at the end that's just wrapping up the video. I can just end it like at any point in time.